If you have not yet had the chance to check out my previous video when it comes to acute to chronic workload ratio, I would encourage you to check it out. But in summary, running injuries, as many injuries usually occur either with overuse or under preparation. So either you are doing too much running volume where your muscles are getting common injuries, plantar fasciitis, Achilles tendonitis, patellar tendonitis, or your muscles are not being prepared enough and are exposed to a large spike in volume, and that can cause injuries in and of itself. So what we want to do is we want to dial into your running volume. But as I mentioned in the previous video, mileage is not just simply mileage. And what I mean by that is if you were to lightly jog 1 mile, your body is going to respond much differently than if you were to give your personal best sprint everything you've got into a mile. The amount of stress, the amount of muscle work that happens between those two are drastically different, although it's the same mileage. So what we want to do in this video is highlight and incorporate effort and distance to give you a total feel for volume. So first thing you want to do is you want to calculate your run. And what I mean by that is you want to kind of mesh your distance and the effort it takes for it. So I gave a couple examples, but you could stick with mileage for distance, so 3 miles, and then I could take my average heart rate for the run at 120 beats per minute, multiply the two, and I get 360 points. If I didn't have access or didn't want to calculate my average heart rate, I could simply use an effort scale of 1 to 10, 1 being very low effort, essentially you standing in place, very relaxed, all the way up to 10, which would be your very best sprint. You have nothing left in the tank. So kind of looking back, reflecting after you finish a run, giving it a numeric value of 1 to 10. In this case, I gave it a 6, multiply 3 miles times that 6 RPE rating of perceived exertion for 18 points. If you'd rather, instead of mileage, if you'd rather do time, you can do the same thing with time. You just, whatever you're using, you want to be consistent as you plug in your calculation. So I have 18 points. Then I'm going to total my week. So on Monday, I had those 18 points. On Wednesday, it was a little lighter. I ran 2 miles at a 5 RPE. On Friday, I ran 4 miles at a 7 RPE. I was feeling good going into the weekend. So that gave me a total of 56 points for the week. Then on your next step, you're going to average, or you're going to take the 56 points that you have for this week, and then you want to compare the points to the average of the 4 previous weeks. So this means that you would have documented your runs. You are incorporating either your heart rate or your rating of perceived exertion for 4 weeks, and you take each week, add those total points together, divide by the 4 weeks, and you have your average of the 4 weeks. If you get a chance, look at my previous video that deals strictly with mileage, but you can get a sense of what those calculations look like. But essentially, you're just looking at how does this week compare to a bigger picture, a bigger volume, my chronic load over the last month. Your goal is to be either 0.8 to 1.2, somewhere in that range, meaning this week is about 20% less or up to 20% more, or right on where my average has been. Less, or if you are under 20% less than the week, so your mileage is under your average by over 20%, then you may be not training enough, where your muscles are not headed in the direction, your endurance is not headed in the direction. If you get to where you're over 20% from your average, then you may be subjecting yourself to those overuse injuries. What this can do for our 4th and final step is this can really allow you to effectively plan. So think about, you're giving yourself an allowance of points. So if I average 56 points and I am aiming to be up to 20% more than my average. Let's say that I'm giving myself 67 points for the week. So on Monday, I totaled and I got 17. On Wednesday, I have 20. Now on Friday, my final day to run, I get up to 30 points. And what I want you to really see, and the whole purpose of this, is this allows you, those people who are saying, well, you know, I enjoy running, like I don't want to stop running. This is just going to limit my ability to run. You know, it's important for my mental health to be able to get out and move. And so are you telling me that I need to just sit down and rest? Well, you can get creative with how you plan your mileage and how you plan your effort. So with 30 points, maybe I'm running 3 miles at an RPE of 10. So I'm going really hard for 3 miles, but then that's it. That's all I get. If I go beyond that, then I'm starting to overreach. Maybe I'm taking a little less effort. Maybe at 5 miles, I'm going at a 6 RPE. You know, I can go all the way down to, I could do 10 miles at a 3 RPE where I'm, you know, at a very, very light jog. So just recognizing that the importance with this is recognizing that, you know, mileage is not mileage. You can take different paces at your mileage, but you just want to make sure that you are taking into account the effort and the mileage that you're running. And as you're planning, you could be someone who says, okay, I'm going to take my effort way down because I want to run, you know, more mileage. Or you can say, you know what, I have trouble pacing myself, and when I get into my workouts, when I get into my runs, I always end up doing more than I anticipate. Well, if you're going to recognize that your effort level or your heart rate is going to be higher, well, maybe then you have to give a firm cutoff to the amount of mileage that you have. So play with this. Again, if you haven't seen my first video, connect with the first video, start with just mileage. Then I would get into where you're just rating your runs, starting to get familiar. If you have several runs where you find yourself like after each run, I'm at a 9, I'm at a 10 RPE. You know, if you're higher on those effort levels, that means your body has a lot of stress and strain going on. So that might be valuable for you just to say, wow, every time I run, I'm running my maximum effort. Maybe I can pull back my effort a little bit. Compare how your week compares to the average of your previous weeks. Plan out your runs. Hey, really dial into what kind of effort you can bring to each run so that you're staying within that 20% above or below and trending in the right direction. Great strategy, great exercise when it comes to being more in touch with your runs, but then also putting yourself at less risk for overuse or under preparation for your runs. It's your move.